Hello, I'm Jasmine and I'm from Group 9. My group members and I will be discussing solar energy as a pathway towards sustainable development in Australia. In this presentation, we'll be touching on the use of land in regards to solar power generation, the carbon dioxide emissions of solar energy, and the feasibility of solar power as an alternative energy source in Australia. The most abundant form of energy on Earth is solar energy, which may even be used when it's cloudy outside. Solar energy is best described as the heat and light radiation emitted by the sun that can then be captured and converted into various forms of usable energy. These conversions can happen because of the photovoltaic effect, where light energy is captured using semiconducting solar cells, more commonly known as photovoltaic cells, or PV. The Earth receives solar radiation at a rate that is roughly 10,000 times greater than the rate at which energy is used to carry out human activities. Solar technologies are able to fuel a host of applications like electricity, heat, cooling, and natural lighting. In 2023, 1,624 gigawatts of solar power had been utilized worldwide, with roughly 447 gigawatts of new PV capacity installed in that same year, providing about 5.53% of the world's electricity needs. While electricity has been the main focus of solar energy technology research, electricity only makes up about one-third of primary energy usage, and electricity is not as efficient to store as fuel. The utilization of solar fuels, specifically hydrogen, is considered a viable substitute for fossil fuels in situations where energy storage is crucial.
Furthermore, solar PV has the capacity to significantly reduce land usage compared to traditional forms of energy production. This could be done in two ways: rooftop photovoltaic panels in combination of agriculture and photovoltaic, or agri-photovoltaic. Rooftop solar panels don't require additional land use, since they could be installed on empty rooftops. According to a report published in April, the rooftop capacity for installing solar PV on houses and apartments across Australia is estimated to be 60.9 gigawatts, of which around 25% is currently realized. There is approximately 46 gigawatts of unrealized solar potential on residential rooftops, which is approximately 22% of the total annual generation across Australia in 2022. As for solar farms, although they may need more land than traditional fossil fuel plants, as we could see on the slide, we could reduce land use by combining photovoltaic panels and cropland. For example, by covering glass panels with multi-layer dichroic interference films, we could filter out specific wavelengths of sunlight for photosynthesis and farming, and reflect and focus the remaining sunlight on concentrated solar cells for photovoltaic power generation. Another way to use land efficiently is a kind of solar-driven irrigation system. This system could capture water vapor from air in the evening using atmospheric water harvesting material such as sorbent, and utilize the heat from the PV panels during the day to drive evaporation of the captured water to cool the panels. Some of the captured water vapor could be used to generate fresh water and thus irrigate the crops. With the installation of this system, we could turn massive deserts across Australia, which lack of precipitation, to greenhouse or farmlands, and thus use them efficiently.
Solar energy is a clean, renewable energy source that produces minimal carbon dioxide emissions during operation. According to an integration of life cycle assessment and integrated energy modeling for power supply from fossil fuel, the emissions range from 78 to 109 grams of carbon dioxide equivalent per kilowatt hours, compared to just 3.5 to 11.5 for solar. However, solar energy has a larger carbon footprint than hydro, nuclear, and wind energy, and also indirectly emits carbon dioxide during the construction of power plants, the production and transport of fuel. But unlike fossil fuel energy, which is always going to produce carbon dioxide emissions, there are many opportunities to lower the footprint of solar panels in their life cycle emissions. The carbon footprints of upstream processes, including extracting raw materials, manufacturing, and installation, accounts for roughly 2/3 of the life cycle emissions of solar energy. These processes have historically been powered by fossil fuel. However, as we transition to renewable energy, we can replace fossil fuel with cleaner energy in the future. In operational processes and downstream processes, CO2 emissions can be reduced by increasing the efficiencies of solar panels, extending the lifespan of solar panels, and panel recycling.
In addition to its carbon zero capabilities and capacity to reduce land usage, solar power, especially from solar PVs, is a highly feasible source of electricity for the Australian grid at both small and large scales. Australia has the highest solar radiation per square metre of any continent, making the Australian climate excellent for solar power production. Radiation is highest in the desert regions in the northwest and centre of the continent, aided by the lack of cloud cover. When combined with the very low population density and lack of infrastructure, these areas are perfect for large-scale solar farms. The rapid and dramatic reduction in the total cost of PV systems over the last decade due to significant advancements in technology has made solar PV electricity affordable and accessible enough that it is feasible at many scales. Because of this, government financial incentives for installing rooftop solar PVs introduced over a decade ago are no longer essential. As such, over 30% of Australian households now have rooftop solar PV and are being installed on roofs across Australia at an increasing rate. Similarly, large-scale solar farms are on the rise as well, with dozens of solar farms operating across the country and dozens more in development. Yet Australia still faces considerable obstacles in the comprehensive implementation of solar energy. Solar farms have very high upfront monetary costs, can be detrimental to surrounding ecosystems, and take up large areas of land, which will likely lead to widespread colonization of Aboriginal title lands. And with the large-scale deployment of PV systems, the issue of integration into the power grid in terms of system stability and voltage regulation has become increasingly prominent. Nevertheless, the hundreds of millions of dollars that the Australian government and private energy businesses are putting into solar farm projects and the increasing number of rooftop solar PVs is indicative of solar PV's feasibility in Australia and that its benefits outweigh its drawbacks. Due to its feasibility, all types of solar PV combined generated approximately 10% of Australia's electricity in 2020-2021 and is the fastest growing electricity source in Australia as of 2024. As well as electricity generation, solar PV can be used to produce solar fuels such as hydrogen power. Solar fuels, including biofuel and biomass, can also be produced from solar energy. These are viable alternative sources of energy, but need further research in order to be feasible in Australia. Further, agri-photovoltaic systems can potentially reduce land use in Australia. However, given the abundance of land available for solar farm infrastructure, these systems are feasible but not a priority.
Here's our conclusion. The solar energy is the most abundant energy on Earth and can be converted into various usable forms. By the end of 2020, it accounted for approximately 3% of global electricity generation, and can be also converted into storable solar fuels, in addition to electricity generation. Through innovative approaches such as rooftop PV and agro-light integration, the solar energy can not only use land efficiently, but also significantly reduce carbon emissions, because it mirrors more than hydropower, nuclear, and wind energy, despite it producing lower carbon emissions than fossil fuels. The carbon emissions of it can be significantly reduced by improving upstreaming processes, enhancing solar panel efficiency, and extending their service life. The favorable climate in Australia has led to the current rapid development of both rooftop solar and large-scale solar farms. However, the challenges such as grid integration and land use conflicts remains. And we think in the future we can provide ample opportunity for the advancement of the Australian new renewable energy sectors, and the capacities to lead Australia to become a more carbon zero future. And now is our references. That's all about our PowerPoint.